This was probably the hardest list I was ever asked to put together, but today we are going to nominate favorite bottles at every price point, starting at $20 and working our way up $10 increments. So $30, $40, $50. Trick is, though, I wasn't allowed to nominate any single barrels or one time releases, which really eliminated quite a bit of my collection and made this very challenging for some of the price points. But what you're going to find because of this restriction is that many of these bottles are on the shelf today, and you could even pick them up at your local store. So thank you for joining me today, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. Ah, hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining me, everybody, for another Tuesday discussion. Here on Tuesdays, we do like to respond to comments and questions that we're getting either from YouTube, Instagram, or our wonderful Patreon community. And I was put through the ringer on this one. So, stemming from a conversation on a recent video where I went over the average score at each price point and kind of highlighted the fact that every price point has something special on the shelf. You just have to know the brands to look out for. How I was challenged in this regard was, well, a lot of the outliers that I'm talking about are probably single barrels. So, what would happen if I eliminated all single barrels and on top of that, any like one time releases, things that are essentially just one and dones, they're not replicated again, they're not batched. There's just no recreating the magic of that particular blend or whatever it was for whatever reason. Oh my gosh, especially the single barrel part of it, that made this challenge very, very hard. But we're going to go through it anyway here, starting at the less than $20 price point. So, less than $20, that is a tough price point, but there are actually some standout bottles there. The one I am going to highlight as being my favorite at this price point is the Evan Williams 1783. The Evan Williams Bottle and Bond is up there as well, as are JW Dant or JTS Brown. But in the end, the Evan Williams is the one that sticks out. And all of those that I just mentioned, by the way, are from Heaven Hill, who is doing it proper when it comes to their budget pours. Moving on to the next one. So between $20 and $30, my go-to bottle in this price range is going to be, surprisingly, the Jack Daniel's Bonded Rye. Gave this one a 78. I do love this rye. I mean, ever since Jack Daniel's came out with the single barrel rye expression a couple years ago, and every iteration they have come out since, I have loved. To me, this is banana pudding in a glass with those vanilla wafers. Oh man, do I love this pour. Now, the next one, which is also a rye, very surprised about this one. Want to blind this against the Jack Daniels at some point. But a new release here for 2024, do not sleep on the Green River Rye. Had this one between $30 to $40. Most areas have it at $35, though I have seen it on sale for as low as $30. Graded this one out as an 82, a new go-to standard for me, and probably the most exciting whiskey of 2024 thus far. I can't wait to try a cast strength version of Green River's Rye. I think they are sitting on some beautiful ryes. And if you don't think you like rye, this might be one to go back to because you're probably used to MGP 95.5 rye. This is not that. Different profile, more accessible, more bourbonous flavors on there as well. Moving on, man, another new distillery. It's interesting to see here how many of these releases that I'm highlighting are actually more recent releases overall. But we have the Bardstown Bourbon Company. This is the Origin Series, the Black Label specifically. This is the wheated mash bill, the wheated bourbon, 6 years old. And wow, this one still just sits on the shelf. People need to discover this one. And of all of the Bardstowns that I am excited to try, they have all these different mash bills. I want to try this one as single barrel cast strength as well. I think this one is one to watch out for this year if it comes out. with a single barrel release. And if you've tried that before, let me know how it was in the comments. Moving on to $50 to $60, I have had a bottle of Wild Turkey Rare Breed on my shelf every year since 2017. This one was one of my favorites early on in my bourbon journey and continues to be a go-to pour for me. Every time I put this in a blind, every time I go back and revisit it, it still sticks out for being great. Now, I will say there were some batches, I think circa 2021, 2022, where they were putting some older stuff in it. There was something popping about those. I haven't had quite the experience since then, but this is a more recent batch. Still the old bottle. I got to get one of the new bottle labels. But graded out as an 82, go to pour for essentially $50 to $55. Next one's a little controversial, maybe. But at the price point, if you're getting it for retail and if you're able to get in your area, man, the Stag Junior really can't be beat. People love this one. There is a good reason why. Now, batches that we do have reviewed thus far range from an 86 to an 88. Me personally, I haven't been able to get my hands on this since batch 15, so I did debate whether to highlight this one at all between the fact that I am grading it at MSRP, and that is so unlikely for a lot of areas, and also the fact that I haven't been able to get one for years myself personally. But I still think it fits the rules, and it is my go-to at this price point if I'm able to get my hands on it. Moving on to another batch product. This one more available, luckily, though wonder if it will stay on this list too long, depending on what continues to happen with it. But the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. So we are on a mission on the channel to grade every batch of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. You can see a spread of the scores on the screen right now, 78 all the way up to a 93. So batch to batch, there is a range to these, but man, I think we only have 3 more to grade, and we would have graded every single ABC batch since the A117. So we got to hunt down those final 3 so we can make a video on that. Moving on, next one. This was a surprise, and quite frankly, surprised by the amount of ryes that are popping up on this list. But at the $80 to $90 range, keep an eye out for this. If you can get your hands on this one, this is the 8-year Sagamore Rye. This thing is incredible. Gave it an 86, and it is one of my go-to ryes now on the shelf. I got this one from the distillery, is where I got this one. Hopefully they release it more wide and you can get it in your area. But keep an eye out for these Sagamore 8 years. They are truly worth the hype. Next one is a more recent release. I've been talking about this one a lot recently, and I have been gobbling up as many of them as I can for various whiskey friends as I can come across it in Ohio. And I've also seen it on Seelbach as well. So it's not just an Ohio exclusive. Keep your eye out. But this is the Whiskey War Double Double. This is an annual release thus far from High Bank, who's coming out of Columbus, Ohio. They are blending MGP ryes and bourbons to essentially create a boo rye, a very rye-leaning boo rye, I will say. And then they finished it twice in New Oak. So that's the double-double part of it. There is a mango note on this thing that drives me crazy, and people that I've recommended this bottle to have been texting me lately like, what the heck is going on with this crazy bottle? It's crazy. It's double oaked boo rye. I mean, that's not very standard thing. It is $99, and you can get it still today. So do not sleep on that one. Time is going to be running out for that one. Once that one's gone, it's going to be gone. Then when it comes to over 100, I just group these all together. But one of my go-tos is going to be the Wild Turkey 12-year. If you get a chance to try a pour of this, I highly recommend it. It is a Japanese release, but frankly, they all seem to find their way back to the States. It's 101 proof, and I have had the pleasure, thanks to executive producer Todd and Kelsey, of being able to try the 2012 version, the 2002 version, the 92 version. Oh my gosh, it is so fun to go throughout the years and try these. All of them are great, and when this one's gone, I will be finding another one so that I can keep this on the shelf. Now, as a bonus, the one that's actually in my glass today, just to highlight one more, because maybe the Wild Turkey 12 uh, is maybe too abstract for some people. The one not to sleep on then at the above 100 price that I will continue to buy really is this Hardin's Creek. Once again, I know this one's hard to find, but there are batches of this coming out, and they also came out with, the Boston and the Claremont and all those ones. Keep an eye on these. When it comes to whiskeys that are essentially that 15-year-old plus, it's becoming rarer and rarer. And I think this is actually one of the best ultra aged bourbons on the market in terms of having a non over oaked, just balanced profile. I really love this pour. So cheers, everybody. So those are some go-to whiskeys at every price point, realizing as it got more expensive, while not entirely a one-time release or a single barrel, they did get more limited. So I tried to give you a couple different options there. So let me know in the comments, what is your favorite from this list? What have you tried? What are you looking forward to trying? And if you disagree with one of the bottles I highlighted, what would you replace it with? Let us know. Let everyone in the community know. And that's how we keep learning from each other. So thank you for joining me today, whiskey friends. I'll catch you on the next Tuesday discussion. Goodbye, everybody.
Jeff, just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me.